Hey everybody, Rusty, driver mentor with Bay & Bay again. Today we're going to talk a little bit about fuel tips that can help lease purchase drivers who might be struggling with fuel costs, things that can help you hopefully reduce that and help put a little more money in your bank account. So to start things off, when you're dispatched on a load, you get a fuel solution. A lot of people have kind of a jaded thought process when it comes to fuel solutions. The fuel solutions that Bay & Bay puts out are accurate fuel solutions if you choose to follow the fuel routing. As a lease operator, you have the opportunity to go whichever way you want to go as long as you make your delivery on time. Sometimes your fuel solution is not going to match up to that, your preferred routing is not going to match up to that. So I'm going to give you some tips that I've learned over the years that have helped me. So number one is, yes, the fuel solution is automated. When you get dispatched on your load, you'll get a fuel solution. The fuel solution cannot tell the difference between a company truck and a lease operator truck. Where that's going to come in handy is sometimes the fuel solution will tell you to get fuel, let's say in Denton, Texas, and you're delivering in Dallas and it's telling you to fill up your truck in Denton. Well, Denton's only 30 miles from Dallas, so as a lease operator, you wouldn't necessarily want to fill your truck up right before you deliver, especially if you're turning that in and expecting a paycheck out of that load. So you have the opportunity to see where you're going. You can use the card control app if there's a more beneficial place for you to get fuel and when it's going to be more beneficial for you to get that fuel. For hypothetical purposes, let's say you're going to Pennsylvania. Everybody knows that as soon as you cross into Pennsylvania, fuel prices skyrocket. So if you know you're going in and you already have a pre-plan coming right back out, it may be in your best interest to just kind of bite the bullet and fill your tanks in Ohio, where the fuel is still cheaper, and then that'll get you in and out of Pennsylvania and you won't have to put any expensive Pennsylvania fuel in your truck. Kind of have to look on it on a case-by-case basis. If you have a fuel solution or you're not sure where you need to get fuel, Parker, he runs our fuel solution program. He's been in the industry for a long time. He's worked in the fuel industry for a long time. So he really knows his ins and outs when it comes to fueling. And if you give Parker a call, he can normally help you out. If you need a new fuel solution, there's a macro on the Qualcomm to request a new fuel solution. Use that macro. When you're filling out your part constants, it's gonna ask you for your current fuel level. That goes from a 1 through 8 basis, so 1 being basically eighths of a tank. So if you're at 3/4 of a tank, you're gonna have 6/8 of a tank of fuel, so you'd put a 6 in there. So if you put that below a 2, even if you are below a 2, if you put below a 2, so below 1/4 of a tank of fuel, it's going to throw off the fuel solution and they're gonna immediately want you to go get fuel as soon as possible. So if you know you have a 1/4 of a tank of fuel or less than a tank of fuel, get into the card control app and see if there's anywhere that's close enough that you can still make it, but is cheaper than where you're currently at. A lot of it is really using the tools that are given to you, the card control app, the fuel solutions. Those things are gonna help you be successful in fueling. And right now with the market the way it is, fueling is a big part of our game, and with fuel prices going back up, saving as much money as we can on fuel is huge. Obviously, other things that help with fueling is how you operate your truck. And we all know that there's several factors that play into your MPGs, and that speed you go, the terrain you're in, your fuel cost is going to be very much by location. So there's all kinds of factors that play into it that we all know about. But these are things that can help you maybe save a few pennies here and there and maybe boost your paycheck a little bit. Another thing that's important when it comes to fueling is proper trip planning. When you trip plan for your next load, make sure you have your fuel stops planned out. And like I said, the solution is very good, but it doesn't necessarily know the difference between a company truck, a lease truck. It doesn't know if that's a light load or a heavy load. So if you're carrying a light load and it's telling you to get fuel in one location, but you have a half a tank and you know you can make it 3 hours past that location, then get into the card control app and look at the location where you think you're gonna need fuel at and see if the fuel's cheaper there or if it's cheaper to get fuel where the fuel solution's telling you to get fuel. And that's kind of a benefit to being a lease driver, is you have these options in front of you. So use the options, use the tools, and you can be more successful at it. I've done it myself. I think a lot of those things will help people be more successful, getting better fuel economy and doing better with their fuel price every week, their net fuel cost every week.